All right, so I've gone ahead and, hello there. My name's Ray. I'm with Team S.T.E.A.M. Today I'm just outside of Flash Industrial Painting because I got my sandblaster fired up and I'm getting ready to start working on this old Chevy pickup here. This is a, I believe, 67 Chevy, 3/4 ton. The guy's got some new panels on it. He's got a different hood on it that seems pretty straight. We're going to be doing the chassis, wheels, exterior, interior. There's no box on this one because it's got a flatbed waiting to go on it. But right now, I'm getting ready to sandblast the chassis on it. The entire chassis, all the way underneath, all the way down through the front, down in here. And that's the chore for today. All right, so here it is the next morning. We did get this guy blasted yesterday. Got it back in the shop. It's supposed to snow today, so I wanted to make sure I got that done. But here's the result of how that looks now with the chassis all cleaned up. And if you saw it yesterday, you know it was just solid rust. Now it's nice clean metal again. The differentials, springs, inside and outside of the frame up under the cab, and then also the frame, the front. Got all the wheels. Now here's what the interior looks like. These doors are aftermarket. And they're not completed. He doesn't have the window in it or any of the mechanism. I noticed that some of that stuff's on the floor over here. Not anything I'm going to be dealing with though. And then the interior, as you can see, is all original paint wise and instrumentation wise. We're going to be repainting all of it as well. The very first thing I'm going to do though is adjust this door. It actually does hit this fender, and it's just a matter of time before one wrinkles the other, and it'll scuff the paint just the first time you open it. So having absolutely clean body lines on a truck like this is very difficult, but I do want to clean that one up. But the very first thing we're going to do is when the boys get here, we're going to decide what's going to get masked and what's going to get taken off. So here we've got the hood removed. We've got a lot of the masking done, most of the masking done, and now we're just doing some grease removal and some of the basic things that we'll do before we begin abrading it. Here we've got the hood pulled off. We've got the wax and grease remover out. Now we're just finishing up the wax and greasing, and we're going to start abrading the underside of the hood here directly. We've got quite a few of the parts pulled off. This is from right in front of the windshield. Got the wheels here on the floor. They're not going to stay here, but that's where they are for now. We've got these kind of cowlings pulled off. They go on the upper fender, but off of the truck itself. They're not part of the fender. They just look like they are when the truck is assembled. They go right here. Got all that stuff pulled off. Most of the masking's done. I'm going to remove these hoses here directly and make them part of the masking. Got this door adjusted to bring these body lines up to where they need to be. It was a little saggy. At first we had this radiator masked up, but I changed my mind. I decided I wanted it to be shiny black instead of the original black that it was. We'll go ahead and mask up this cap. This radiator, the top part of the radiator is going to be black. The rest of it I'm not going to touch. You can see it's masked up. And this heater box is going to be black. And that is probably all the black I'm going to have in this area. And then of course I'm going to do the chassis and the wheels in black as well. Along with the e-brake, the pedals, gear shifters, steering column, those will all be black as well. And we're finishing up the scratching here, just getting ready to blow it off. And all right, well, it looks like the boys got all the sanding and scratching done. They got it inside and out, top to bottom, front to back. It's about time I go ahead and get on some of this body work. You can see it has been thoroughly sanded, thoroughly scratched everywhere in here, everywhere back here, everywhere up here. You see the doors, the radiator, the inside of here, the heater box, the back of the firewall, the insides of the wheel wells. It's all been thoroughly sanded. Now I need to go ahead and get started on some body work and get this going. You can see we've got some stuff like this anomaly right here, and the trucks, when they get this old and they've been a work truck their whole life, you can expect that they're going to have some stuff. They're going to have these little dents and dings, little anomalies everywhere. So that got hit with a grinder at some point. Got some wrinkling there. Somebody replaced this this panel right here, and they did a good job. They did a fair enough job, but I still have some work to do. I've got to hit this and bend it in with a shrinking hammer. Otherwise, my bodywork is only going to come up to it, and every time I sand it, this little bead is always going to come through. So, and I don't want to build up my bodywork over it. So what I want to do is I want to knock this in just a little bit with a shrinking hammer so my bodywork comes flat. Same with this side. I want my bodywork to come flat. I'm gonna have to beat that in just a little bit. And this has got little dents and dings everywhere. This has been caved in and then brought back out partially at some point. It feels like a bag of marbles. So I'll need to address that as well. Yeah, we've got the first coat of mud applied and sanded on this part of this side. I still got a bunch of mud to put in here and in many other places. Haven't even checked the roof yet. Now I'm in the process here of stripping off this dull, flat green primer that some other person had put on this. Some other person had worked on this truck before me, and the metal work that they did was not bad. I have no problem with that. I don't know if it's the same person here, but their body work is amateur, right? I can feel all kinds of lumps in it. There's a high spot here that needs to be taken down with the shrinking hammer. High spot here, high spot here. You know, they tried. I can see that it's blended well. This was prepped well before they put their body work on, but I need to go over it. I need to redo it. And in the process of stripping this green primer off of here, which I insist on doing, I uncover somebody else's work. I want to know what I'm getting into. Sure enough, I'm finding dents everywhere. So there was dents all over this hood. Pretty bad body work. I'm going to continue to finish stripping this primer off painstakingly with 150 grit and a DA sander. And I'm going to go ahead and continue stripping all this primer off here so I can start from ground zero and make sure it's done the kind of the way I want to do it. We're part of the way through the body work here. I've got the first and second coat done here. It's going to take at least a third coat. I only have the first coat done on that side. It's going to take at least a second coat. Doing a little body work on the inside. Across the back there was an absolute mess. And I've got a dent right here and just a couple other little spots I'm going to take care of before I'm done. So we got this hood all stripped down now. You can see there's a lot of spots where somebody else had done some body work. We'll having to go over that. And then I found a bunch of dings and dents and high spots in the body work. But now it's time for me to kind of assess with the entire situation and start doing real body work. All right, so all the basic body work is done. All I need to do now is the glazing. You can see it's pretty much everything on here that wasn't a new panel, like the doors are new, the fenders are new. Everything that wasn't new though, needed a bunch of work. Including the insides of the doors. See, these doors are new, the panels aren't, and so they needed work. This entire back panel needed a bunch of work. Normally I don't care about the interior of a vehicle like that, but that was all beat to heck, and of course it's going to show up in the gloss, so we couldn't really leave it there. The back was, you know, in complete need. Same with this side. In need from bottom to top. The roof was as much dent as it was roof. And again, I need to go ahead and glaze all this before I put my wet sanding primer on it, but this is the initial body work finished. Heck, even the door had a ding in it, and it's new. Here's the hood. I've got it leaned over on a couple of stools. I completely, I did some metal work up here, beat those high spots back in and completely redid their body work. And then numerous places where I redid some other body work. Some dings in it that were not addressed that I went ahead and got. And now it's time I'm going to go ahead and get some glazing on this. On every single thing you just saw, I'm going to go ahead and glaze it. So I basically have to go over it all again. Well, now all the glazing's done. And I've just got a few little details to finish up, and I'm ready to get the bodywork primed and get the chassis and the wheels and everything else that's going to be black shot in black. All right, so I've got all my wet sanding primer in place, a couple of heavy coats, even 3 heavy coats in some spots. We'll have a look at that here quick. You can see the entire back got primed. When it comes to old trucks like this, you have to prime entire old panels, otherwise you just don't know. When they come pre-sanded like this one did, and many of them do, you can see I primed the entire back there. Primed that door panel, primed this door panel in that spot. When they come pre-sanded like this one largely was, you don't know what's in them. Dings, dents, you have no idea. So you have to paint, you have to prime the entire panel. That way you can find whatever else is left by putting on your guide coat and sanding it flat. And then the spots will show up of remaining guide coat, and that'll let you know what you missed or what you never saw to begin with. Here's the hood, all primed up. Numerous coats in a couple of these spots. And in the gloss of the primer, I did see a couple of dings that were in it that I never saw before. And now I'm ready to get some paint on it. You guys riding along? Well, here it is the next morning. Got that black shot yesterday, as you saw. And today, the whole goal is going to be to mask up all that black, to sand the wet sanding primer, and to identify any additional issues I might have missed and get them fixed. I might even get some red on it today. Now we're getting some of the masking done. As you can see, this has been masked up entirely, all the way around it, so overspray doesn't have a chance to get in there and get anything done. And up here, we're getting some of the other stuff, the radiator and the heater box and some of these other things masked up. Getting the chassis masked up. Tedious stuff, masking up a chassis. Now, this side of the hood has been sanded down by the block. This block right here, and I put 180 grit on it. There's no sandpaper on it at the moment, but I stick 180 grit to it, and I have 2 of these blocks, and I do it at the same time. You can see, there's the one with the sandpaper, there's the one without, there's my roll of 180 grit. And the reason that you want to do that, you put down your wet sanding primer and then you sand. And a lot of body shops still wet sand. I don't see the point in it. It just makes the whole floor wet. But that's why you do it. See, this all got primed yesterday because it showed up in somebody else's primer and somebody else had worked on it. And that means that I've got to work on it because nobody ever brings anything in here that somebody else has done a good job on. And so I primed all this after I got done because I had no way of seeing where the dings and dents were. And guide coated it. That's what you just a light coating, but a solid coating of spray paint on there. You can buy regular guide coat, but I just buy spray paint. And then you sand it with a block. And as you can see, there's a decent dent, a very pronounced couple of dings, hail dents, more dings, another one there, decent sized dent. I mean, this is all, there's a ding, there's another one. You can see the little pronounced spots. That's why you guide coat and then sand it down with a block, not a DA, a block. And that's the only reason I can even see these. Otherwise, I would put this all in gloss and it would look like a hailed out hood. And then you got to start over. So now the boys got this all masked up, you know, and they've masked up all the black, the fuel tank, all of these kind of components. This has all been masked up, and now it's up to me to guide coat and sand all of this down with a block so I can figure out where I still need to do body work. I had no other way of knowing. Here I'm just about ready to go ahead and prime with the epoxy primer, 2 coats of epoxy primer. What I'll do is I'll set this back. It'll hit that jack stand right there, and it stands on its own. And I'll go ahead and get it primed that way. Then I'll lean it forward on that ladder so I can prime the entire underside. Over here, got it all blown off and ready. Interior's ready, outside's ready. Got a ladder here with this piece hung up on it. These 2 pieces hung up on it. Everything blown off, everything ready to go. Now I've got all the primer on here. The reason I didn't film that is because it would have been very tedious even to film. Priming something like this, when you're doing the inside of the hood and the outside of the hood, the inside of the doors and the outside of the doors, the inside of the cab and the outside of the cab, you don't just take after it and prime. You can't. You're gonna have overspray, for one thing, on every single horizontal surface. You have to think about that, and those have to come almost last. So the process is you have to dart over here and get the tack rag and tack this off and get all the overspray off of it, and then or dust off of it, and then spray this, and then run over here and spray this, and then run around here. It is quite the process when you're doing something this complicated, especially when you got wheel wells. We got the inside of the hood compartment here. We've got parts hanging up, you know, so to do it and just go from the back to the front, you're gonna have everything so covered in overspray that it's just gonna look like heck. So that's why I didn't bother filming it. The process itself is quite tedious, but now that I've got it all primed, and as you can see, it is all primed, every bit of it up under the wheel wells, all these other pieces inside the cab, all around inside the cab, dash, even down in under here. The reason I didn't go ahead and shoot the whole floor is because I don't need to. This is always going to have carpet in it or some sort of covering in it, and that paint that's on there is still in good shape. Where they put the new panels on, I went ahead and painted, because that's important. But I got this all done inside and out. Now I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up and get to painting. All right, so here it is the next morning. It's an absolute blizzard outside right now, and it's below zero. It's blowing snow, and it's pretty unpleasant outside. But it stayed a cool 70 in here all night long, which is more than enough for this to go ahead and cure out. Now I'm going to go ahead and, when the boys show up here in a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and start unmasking it and putting it back together. And you probably saw on that previous clip where I was darting all over the place, coming over here and shooting this and going over there and shooting that. The reason I was doing that was to prevent dry spray. This paint dries fast enough that dry spray is an issue, and you have to be very thoughtful about and methodical about your process when you're painting, or dry spray becomes a real issue. So not only did I have to do all of that darting around and running around, but I had to do it twice. I cut the camera because shooting red on red or white on white or yellow on yellow is boring. It just almost looks like I'm shooting vapor on it. But I had to go ahead and do that a second time. So when it got all done, called it a day. Now here it is the next day, and we're gonna go ahead and see if we can't get this guy put back together. You can see we got the inside, everywhere on the inside, the dash, the back, the top, the jams, everything. Down inside of everything. These extra parts I had hanging up here. The wheel wells. Everything got shot, both sides of the hood. Turned out good. And we're getting it unmasked. Getting the cab all unmasked. And all these details. Won't be long when we're putting parts on it. All right, well, got it all back together. Turn the boys loose. Let's go have a look. Okay, this is a 1966 Chevy 3/4 ton, 4-wheel drive. We never did do the box because it has a flatbed that's new, that's gonna go on it when they get it back. Because it's a work truck and it'll probably go back to work, believe it or not. Got the hood all on. Got everything on. As you can see, we painted the wheel wells, both sides. Painted the wheels themselves. Took all this stuff off, painted it. Painted the inside of the engine compartment. The underside of the hood. Got nice shine on it. Probably as good or better gloss than it had when it was brand new. All those dents, all that wrinkling, all that garbage that was back here is all gone. You can't see any sign of it. Inside the doors here. Got the interior back in it. Painted the fuel tank and everything, even though you can't even see it. Painted behind the seat, everything in here. The only thing we didn't paint was the floor, for obvious reasons. It's going to have this floor mat in it or a similar one for the rest of its life. Painted the gear shifters. Painted the entire dash. Painted the pedals. Spared these stickers because they were both in good shape. I don't know if you can see them or not. Got everything back in it. Chassis all painted, sandblasted and painted. None of that stuff. This was all wrinkled and rebuilt. These were completely chopped off and replaced. Even had a ding in the door, even though the door was brand new. Here's how the roof turned out. It had giant dents in it, 4 big dents in it. It came out, looks brand new. Hood's looking good. It was completely hailed out, had bad body work at the front. Took it down to bare metal and did it. Everything came out real good. Took a little more time than I wanted it to, but came out real nice. Well, this old 1966 is done and in the books. Guess what we got coming in next? A 63 Kenworth. So that'll be interesting. Hey, if you like what you see here, you might as well go ahead and hit the like button because that helps. And you might as well subscribe while you're there because, you know, we always got something going on. We'll see you guys around.